Hello and welcome back to my shop. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to take a look at how to make this jig for creating box joints. So maybe you are building some cabinetry or furniture of some sort and you need to build some drawers. A box joint is very easy to make, it's very strong, and it's nice looking. So we're going to take a look at how to make this jig so that you can make the perfect box joint every time. Now let's get into the build.
Starting with a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, I break mine down to about 8 inches by 16 inches. For making my runners, I use a micrometer to measure the channels in my table saw, and then the back end of the micrometer can be used to set the rip fence. I'm using maple for my runners. I like to use a hardwood as I feel it holds up better over time. That first cut makes the width of my runners, and now the depth of my runners is going to be around 5/16 of an inch. My channels are 3/8 of an inch tall, so I want them just a little shy of that. Then we're going to cut 2 of those the exact width of the base. Now I start assembling the base. I use a block of wood against my table saw, just clamping it to the fence. This is going to help keep everything aligned. I'll drop some pennies in the channels. This is going to keep the runners lifted up a little bit. And then I'm just going to attach the base to the runners with some CA glue. And then I'll just permanently fasten with some 7/8 inch staples. Then I grab some 1x's I had laying around. These are about 3 inches tall. I'm just going to cut those to length to match the base. Make sure to mark where the saw blade is so you don't install any screws in the wrong spot. At first, I'm only going to attach the fence on the front side. Now, using whatever dado stack you're going to use, I used a 3/8, but you can use whatever. We're going to make a cut, but we're going to stop short of going all the way through. Next, I'm going to install the rear fence. This is the fence that's going to guide your workpiece. So you'll want to take a square and make sure that this fence is perfectly square with your cut. Then I'll attach this little cube that I made to the back of the fence. This is there just to keep your fingers out of the path of the saw blade. And now we can make the cut all the way through. Next, we need to make a few spacers exactly the size of our saw kerf. So again, I'm going to use my micrometer, and the back side of the micrometer is going to be used to set the rip fence. The first piece I cut, this one's going to be just a placeholder, and also I can verify that my cut's the right size. Then I need a couple pieces that are about 3/8 inch thick, and the same width again as the saw kerf. And before I cut these out, I'm going to take a pencil line and make a mark on the top. This is just going to help me keep track of the orientation. Let's talk for a second about these blocks. The block on the left is placed in the saw kerf and is just there to help align the other 2 blocks. The block colored red represents the uncut portion of the box joint and is there only as a spacer to align the far right block, which will be attached permanently. All 3 blocks need to be fitted perfectly to the saw kerf. If they're really snug, your joint won't go together. If they're really loose, your joints will be sloppy and have gaps. They should fit easily in the kerf, but not have any slop. They need to fit just right. So I cut mine very close with the table saw, and then with some 220 grit sandpaper, I just slowly shave it down till I get a perfect fit. So you just set the placeholder in the kerf, use the next block as your spacer, and then with some CA glue, install the permanent block. And of course, clean up any excess glue that squeezes out. And now it's time to test it out. We're going to set the height of the saw blade so it's exactly the same as the thickness of the material that we're cutting. Now we'll set the first piece against our block and make the first cut. We will then flip this piece around and use that piece to set the starting cut for your next piece. And then we'll stack the 2 up and cut them both at the same time. And one last tip for you, when you're gluing up your box joints, the glue is going to ooze out everywhere. If you just wrap with tape, you're going to make cleanup much faster and easier.
Well, that's what I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you could, in the comments below, please let me know what you think of this jig. Let me know if this was helpful for you. If it was, I would ask that you please like and subscribe. And as I always say, even if it wasn't, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one.